drive out there and just say, well, what is this? What do they map out here? All of a sudden you can start seeing these things on the landscape, and they start giving you a part of the story right now. So I think that's all that I want to show with these maps to start out with. And after we're done with this talk and looking at things, I know some people have to leave after an hour, so feel free if you've got to take off and get out of here. But if you wanted to stick around and ask questions about the maps or look at them, you know, I'll be here for a while, and so we can do that. That sound good? Okay. Well, let's. I wanted to go over one concept with you guys first, and it's something that's really, really important to the formation of the landscape out here. And it's something that I even have to work with geologists when they first come out to work with me, because it's something that we don't all learn in our classroom. So, amazingly, a geologist will get out with a 4-year degree and they won't know everything. Can you believe that? There's so much to learn, and there's so much to learn from the land when you work with it. And the other thing too is that, especially these days, when we learn geology, we've got these textbooks, we've got e-books, we've got all these, you know, visual presentations that we see. And what we're seeing in those presentations are the very best examples from the entire world. So let's take dinosaur tracks, for instance. If you think about a dinosaur track, what do you think of? Here's what I think of. We'll just throw a green one right here. In my mind, I see something that maybe looks like this, you know? And so if I were going to go out here and look for dinosaur tracks out around this area, I'd be looking for something like that. And I'd be looking high, I'd be looking low, I'd look all over the place. And you know what? I wouldn't see a lot. And it's not that the dinosaur tracks aren't there, but there are a couple of different things going on. One, there are different types of dinosaurs, right? So not every dinosaur makes a track like that. If you think about the sauropods, you know, what we knew as when we were kids as brontosauruses, think about the feet that those had. Maybe a lot like elephants, right? And so if you see a track of one of those, of course they're much bigger than this, but they just kind of, you know, a nice track might look like that. And even though it's fully formed, it kind of doesn't look like what you think of as a dinosaur track in their mind. Now think about the way that tracks are made. And when is it that we usually make our tracks? We make them in the snow, right? But we also make them on a rainy day. Think about walking through the adobes or something like that. And you go out there and you go to take a big step, and boom, you know, you're maybe making a tushy print or something like that. But what holds true for us holds true for the dinosaurs as well. A lot of where we find the dinosaur tracks, they were walking around in the mud. And what you see, I don't care if it's you or me or an elk that's walking through the mud. If you go out to the mud, the next time you look, if you're out there looking at some tracks, look at those tracks and in your mind go, how many of these are perfect tracks? So you're going to go down in the mud, you're going to slip around, maybe your toe's going to go down into it, you're going to slide, and then you're going to pull your foot out through that mud, and you're going to pull out about 3 inches of the mud on your boot. And then you're going to go on, and you're going to leave this really imperfect track. And a lot of geology is like that, where if you think about the final product of it, and think about something like that, you're not going to see much if you go around and look at it. But if you think about this track being made in the mud, and then they get preserved by a second process. Later on, the river will flood, and it'll bring out a layer of sand out across the floodplain there, just like the Mississippi River does today. And what that does is it goes over and it makes the sand bed on the top, but it also fills in these tracks too. And so if we think about the process of it, here's our mud, and it's all soft and goopy, and something will go and it'll kind of make a track in it like that, and the mud will get squished down a bit. We even see this today, you know, on the sides of rivers where there are cattle walking and things like that. If you ever get a chance to, just take a shovel and dig right down. You'll see that the tracks kind of gone down like that. And so this will kind of be all grouped up and kind of messed up. And then this sand bed gets right over the top of it, and this is all sand, and it'll fill in on the side. So the first thing I look for when I look for a dinosaur track is I'll look for maybe a thin sandstone bed running along, but the bottom and the top of it will usually be kind of flat, but the bottom of it will have all these pendulous things sticking down from the bottom of it, like that. And so you might run into an individual track like that. You might run into a whole bunch of them, and they might even be different sizes. So it could be as different as the front foot and the back foot being different sizes. Or it could be different species of dinosaurs that are running around in the same place. And we're working with BLM right now. In our mapping, we've found some places where there are some really, really great dinosaur tracks out here in the gorge. And one place where one of these beds has just kind of cantilevered out of the side of the hill and then fallen on its back, and it's showing how many kinds of dinosaurs, Blade?
I think we got 5 individuals that we measured in there.
5 different types of dinosaurs, all kind of crossing paths and going everywhere, kind of like the parking lot at the city market. You know, people are walking in, people are walking out. There's little kids. You know, people have their dogs out there. So there's all sorts of dinosaurs walking around there. One of the tracks even has a skin impression from the dinosaur. It's got all these little nubbly things on the side of it, and but yet in the side, when we look at it before it fell out, it just kind of looks like that. So next time you're out and about, look in the sides of hills that have sandstone and shale. And I don't know if you guys know what sandstone and shale is, but sandstone is just made out of sand that's been made into rock. Shale is made out of mud that's made into rock. And usually today, the shale will wear away faster than the sandstone will. And that's why when we look, say, behind us at a hill like this, we'll see little cliffs sticking out. And those cliffs tend to be the sandstone, which is really hard and resistant. And then the slopes up above the sandstone, or the parts underneath the sandstone that kind of weather in, those tend to be the shales right there. So look at that interface between the shales with the sandstones on top of them. And I'll tell you, if you ever want to do looking for dinosaur tracks at 50 miles an hour, drive over McClure Pass. And you'll pass all the coal mines, and you'll get up to the place where Kevlar Pass Road kind of goes off to the right and heads up that river valley. From about that point on, for the next couple of miles, look to your left with all those slopes, with all the rocks coming down on the highway and everything. And if you look at those as you're driving along, look for those scoops and look for those bumps on the bottom. That whole thing is full of dinosaurs. And when you get down to the other side, over toward Marble, and you're near the bottom of the hill, near the hairpin turn, look on that too, and especially look at all the thin beds. And you'll see all these messed up beds on the bottom of them, and they're all those dinosaur tracks. So we always say you don't know what you don't know, but then when you know something, all of a sudden they're everywhere. And this place is just crazy with dinosaur tracks out here. It's some of the coolest stuff to see, and you know, we were pointing out some of that stuff to Rooster and Ryan and some of the river rangers out there. If you're just going down the Gunnison Gorge on a raft, you can start seeing some of these things. If you're driving along the highway, you can see them. Shoot, if we dropped off the side right here and looked hard enough, we could probably see them too.
Can you help that fisherman down there with the right kind of gravel bed?
You know, we got nothing for that guy. He's just going to have to do it on his own. But he's probably standing on a gravel bed instead of the mud, wouldn't you think? So that tells you a little bit about the river processes bringing gravel down. Now that's another really important point before we start looking off the side here, is that as geologists,